Hey guys, Sean here at the Gardener Center. So this past week we had our first load of plants arrive in the nursery. Dan and I were heading out to unload the truck and we looked at each other and said, and so it begins. And so it really does. We are going to be unloading plants in one way, shape, or form from now until October. We're all in at this point. Our winter break is over. The very hardiest and the most cold tolerant plants came in this week, so I'm going to take some time to tell you about who came in, what's coming next. So if you're anxious to get a little color in your lives, stay tuned. All right, guys. So if you are already a gardener, or maybe you're new to it, the plants I have here today are what I would call the usual suspects. These are always the plants you see very early in the season. I finally pulled the trigger on these guys this past week. This past Saturday, we went down to 18 degrees here in Darien, and we had a sub-zero wind chill all night. That would have fried these guys last weekend, and we couldn't even leave our hellebores out last Saturday night. So I pulled the trigger on everything this past week. So these guys are good to go now. So I'm going to just kind of go through and tell you about these usual suspects that are here. So the main group of them are the pansies. And these guys are amazing. I don't think there's another annual that you're going to get more color from than these pansies. The ones with the large flowers over here, we typically call pansies. The ones with the little tiny flowers over here, we call violas. You may also know these as Johnny Jump-Ups. Botanically speaking, they're both violas, so I don't know how that name got associated just with the little guys. But we call them violas or Johnny Jump-Ups. These guys are very pretty. They're a little more subtle than the big flowered ones. They also have a really pretty fragrance that you don't get from the big flowered pansies, so those are fun. All of these guys are good to about 28 degrees, maybe even 26 degrees without protection. So they're definitely good to go outside right now. They can be planted really close together. They come in the little 6-packs. If you've ever done impatiens or other bedding plants, they come in the little 6-packs. They're really inexpensive. And the fun thing about the pansies is because they're just going in your containers for a short period, so obviously they're tolerant of cold temperatures, but what they're not tolerant is heat. So pansies are typically effective from now until maybe Memorial Day, maybe into the first week of June or so if it doesn't get too hot too quick. They're happiest in April and May. Those are pansy months, but you can plant them really close together, which is nice, so you can kind of have that finished look when you're done. So the pansies, if you want color right now, that's a great economical way to get started. And when we talk about economical, I know, your early spring planters are temporary. They're only for maybe 6 to 8 weeks. So a lot of you may be saying, I don't really want to invest in that and then have to do it all over again in May. So luckily, the other plants that I have here that you can do in your spring planters can serve double duty. So let me start over here. Everybody knows tulips. We have tulips that came in. We have daffodils that came in. And these guys, same thing, good down to about 26 or 28 degrees without protection. But the beautiful part about them is when you're done with them, they can be planted in your landscape and they can be perennial. So you're not throwing them away like you do with the other annuals. They can go into the garden. So we got tulips, daffodils. There's also little tete-a-tetes, the little mini daffodils, which are super cute. And then over here, these guys are a personal favorite of mine. These are hellebores. And hellebores, they would be your thriller in your spring planter. So they could give you some height, and they can give you that little bit of verticality that you may be looking for in your spring planters, which isn't easy to do at this time of year because we're working with cold tolerant plants. So the hellebores are a great choice for your thriller, but they got a lot going for them. Not only can you plant them out in your garden when you're done with them, because they're perennials, they're also evergreens. They are also deer resistant, and they also want to grow in the shade. So if you have a spot in your yard where you have hostas or astilbes or ferns, that's where they want to be. The nice thing about them is you can put them in your containers in the sun at this time of year in the spring because the sun's not as strong as it is in the summer, so they can enjoy the full sun in your spring planter. And then in May, when you're done with them, get them into a shady spot in your yard. If you have deer problems, hellebores should really be one of your best friends. Deer, rabbit, woodchucks will not touch hellebores. If you have hostas, you know about slugs. Slugs do not touch hellebores, so that's another great choice. So choice is limited right now because of the night temperatures, which are still cold. So in the next week or two, I'll keep my eyes on the weather. The next things you're going to start seeing come in would be like our ranunculus. You're going to start seeing things like alyssum and nemesias and the really brightly colored blue-flowered lobelias, which don't like the heat of the summer, but they can't quite take the cold that these guys can, so you're going to be seeing them rolling in soon. So this is like the most exciting time of year for me and Dan and us here, because it's like every morning's like Christmas morning for us. So if you guys are ready for to get a little color going in your lives, come check them out because they're starting to roll in. I'll see you next time.